From the crossroads of the Ozarks, this is P.I.D. Radio. Welcome. I'm Derek Gilbert.
Oh, that makes me Sharon Gilbert, and welcome everybody to our humble bunker. And we say humble because honestly, we are humbled. This is just, when you look at it on the outside, it's just a pole barn. It's just a metal barn.
Yeah, but on the inside, it has been converted into usable space, and that is thanks to your generosity.
We keep promising that we're going to do an update video, and we haven't yet. Forgive me. I promised it several weeks ago. I've talked to Derek about it. You would think that in our schedules, we could find time to do it. And I'm not being facetious. I think we need to find time to do it.
Yeah. Well, next time we sit down to do Unraveling Revelation, which will be in the next couple of days.
Today or tomorrow, yeah.
We will do that then. So now we're under pressure because we've put it out there. So.
We are under pressure, yes, indeed. Not only from that, we've got a manuscript due March 15th. I'm trying to finish Queen's Sacrifice, which is book 9 of the Red Wing Saga. I will confess to you, I don't often talk about my health, publicly. I just don't do that because there's so many other people who have bigger problems.
Oh, yeah.
I've been dealing with fatigue, just major fatigue, and it makes it difficult for me to do as much in the day that I want to do. By the time I clean the house and do things like that, I find myself exhausted. I get up early in the morning and I try to get those things done because I'm a morning person. By 1 or 2 in the afternoon, I'm done. I'm just so incredibly tired. Yes, I just talked to my doctor about this, and she ran a whole metabolic panel and a bunch of other things, and I'm going to have some other tests run just to make sure that at almost 72 years old, that something else isn't going on. That's the truth. As you get older, the likelihood in this day and age is that some cell somewhere is going to say, I don't want to work today.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
And adjusting to these changes requires some wisdom. It requires some.
Yes.
I guess grace and the ability to say, okay, I just need to pace myself a little differently.
Yeah, instead of I'm going to push, and then making it worse.
Yeah. I find that it is. I wouldn't say more difficult.
Yeah.
I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I'm certainly not complaining of any health issues.
But
it's just age 62. There are things that I can't do as easily as we were able to do when we first moved out here at the age of 53.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, you did hear that correctly. Derek is about 10 years younger than I am. Speaking of age, I was born in the year of the dragon. So I'm turning 72 this October. The year of the dragon just began today. It's rolled around again 72 years later. 72 is a biblical number. It is often equated to the number 70. So were there 72 angels that were put in charge of the nations, or 70?
Well,
bottom line is it's all of them.
Yeah. Numerologically speaking, in terms of the symbolism involved, it's the same.
Yeah, but when it's written, it's either 70 or 72. What I find interesting about 72 is that's divisible by 12. 12 times 5 is 72.
And 72 times 5 is 360, which in a lunar calendar is 1 year, but it's also 360 degrees of a circle. So, yeah, there's been some...
Did I say 12 times? No, 12 times 6.
12 times 6.
Yeah. But I'll come in again. 12 times 6 is 72.
And I was just rolling right with it.
Well, we do. You get to be this. Look, brain cells just say, I'm taking the day off. You guys just use me so much. But the reason I bring any of this up is age does make a difference. We all, no matter how careful we are, Derek just got me started taking some vitamin B complex that Eden's Essentials produces. And you can get that at edensessentials.com. That's part of the Defenders / Skywatch TV product of a family of products. Their stuff is so good. It is very clean source material.
Right.
Joe Horn, who heads up all of that, is really meticulous about making sure that where did this come from?
Right.
Where did you get these original plants and roots and whatever it happens to be made from? So these are all natural. Yeah. It's wonderful. It's not a lab somewhere making a chemical.
And I will say that there are several of their supplements that I take, but the one that I've really noticed that really has helped. I've noticed additional energy from the Eden's One, which they're going to replace. It basically is a multivitamin. But the prostate support. Yes, men, when you reach a certain age, that becomes more important.
And let me tell you, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because there are a lot of men who, in your place, would. I'm not going to talk about that because that's really personal. But all men of all ages, once you get to be an adult, you need to start thinking about health in that region. And that's something that, starting at about age 40, a lot of men have trouble with. In fact, King Charles III has admitted only recently that he had an enlarged prostate. And now, as they ran the tests to confirm that, to therapeutically take care of that in hospital, those tests showed that he has cancer. It's not prostate cancer. It's another cancer. He's not revealed what it is. That's his personal business. I was amazed that he revealed he had cancer. The late Queen, had bone cancer. She said nothing about it.
Yeah.
But that had to be really painful.
Absolutely.
Yep. So the bottom line here is, after we've blathered on this for 10 minutes, is that each and every one of us is subject to the natural world's moments of ill health.
Right.
Because we are still in natural world bodies. One day, those who are redeemed by Christ will have brand new bodies that aren't going to go through any of this.
Looking forward to that. Yes, the bodily resurrection.
Me too.
Visiting my mother yesterday, and Mom, as she's in assisted living now, the nursing home. We had to move her from independent living apartment over to assisted living. She is in not the memory care unit, but that's mainly because she had an accident about a month ago where she fell and
she requires nursing care.
Right. But the blessing there is that some friends that she'd made when she first moved there, who had to move from independent living to assisted living, are now part of, she's able to eat with them at mealtimes. And one of them is a retired minister who still, God bless him, at age of 85, is still giving the, praying for a blessing over the meals, and still taking his command.
And he's in a wheelchair.
He's in a wheelchair. He's been wheelchair bound ever since we've known him. So for at least 10 years. And he still takes his charge seriously. And every morning, and he's limited to the use of just his left arm. His legs are not functional, but he still dresses up in his suit every day, suit and tie. And
sometimes wears a hat.
Wears a hat. On nice days, he'll go outside and he'll smoke his pipe, and but he will pray for the meal and the blessing, and he'll have the announcement stuff, and that keeps him going. So I pray that as we age and we lose some physical abilities, that we are still running the race, just like Leo Shoemaker out there at the Ozarks Methodist Manor, right up to the very end.
Amen.
God bless him.
We are called to preach the gospel to all the world. And at the end of this edition of P.I.D. Radio, we're going to tell you about places we're going in the future, in this year, and maybe some next year. But one of those has already gotten some comments. We'll just put it that way, because it's going to a place that's really a mission field. So we'll tell you more about that at the end. But for now, to the news.
Yeah, speaking of physical changes and the limitations they can sometimes impose, this week we got, I guess, confirmation of something that has been plainly obvious to all of us since, we have been observing his career over the years, and that was the former senator and vice president, now president of the United States, Joe Biden, who on Thursday evening was hit by the report from Special Counsel Robert Hur, who declined to prosecute President Biden for mishandling top secret documents, which were mishandled. There's some very basic differences between his case and the case of President Trump. In the case of President Trump, the president has the power to declassify anything he wants. So you can make the case that whatever Trump had taken with him to Mar-a-Lago he considered declassified, and his lawyers will no doubt argue that.
Oh, yes.
The documents that were in Joe Biden's garage, and Special Counsel Hur included a photo of this in his press conference showing this cardboard box in Joe Biden's unsecured garage surrounded by a bunch of tools and stuff. Those were things that he took when he was a senator and vice president and did not have the constitutional authority to declassify anything. But beyond that, the reason that he said he was declassified, or he was choosing not to prosecute the president, is because he
is unfit to stand trial.
Essentially, yes.
Mentally unfit.
That is basically what he said. He is mentally unfit to stand trial, which leaves Democrats with basically.
But he's running for office again.
Right.
And he's in office.
Yes. So you've got two arguments if you are a Democrat, and there are many articles out there who are just saying, boy, this is a nightmare. This is beyond devastating. The former strategist for Barack Obama, David Axelrod, said, you can't unring this bell.
No.
You've got two responses to this if you're the Democratic Party. Number one is, okay, he's not a criminal because he's enfeebled. Or number two, he is not enfeebled, which means he did stuff that he should be prosecuted for.
Yes, indeed. Well, it's also, I think the president, and here's the thing, I know it's really easy to make fun, and you and I do too, because in some ways you just have to laugh at this because this man has his button on the nuke. I mean, he is in charge of...
Finger on the button, the nuclear button.
No, it's on the nuke. He carries the nuke with him. He's Slim Pickens. He's going to ride it all the way down.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I noticed the constable holding the thermonuclear warhead. Was it the little constable for the local area? Yeah. Monty Python reference.
Anyway, it is the holy nuke of Antioch. Sorry, shouldn't have done that while you were taking a drink of coffee. We'll talk about coffee later too.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But yes, the president is living in a world where Mitterand and Helmut Kohl are still alive, and Egypt is on our southern border.
Yeah. And that was the thing. I mean, why did the president's advisors and handlers say you need to go out and give a press conference as soon as the special counsel's report came out? Because he went out there fuming.
Such a bad idea.
Yeah. My memory is fine. And then he confused Egypt with Mexico. And that, of course, gave rise to memes. You know, Donald Trump sitting down to a taco salad in a fried tortilla bowl saying, traditional Egyptian meal.
I know. My comment was, I can't wait for Cinco de Cairo.
Yes. Which, brilliant.
Huh, thanks.
But yes, President Biden is, this is more damaging than anything that Trump has done or anything that the Republican National Committee has done to try to convince the American public that President Biden is unfit to serve.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of reasons that Hur did what he did. First of all, I don't think that in Biden's Justice Department that the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, would have allowed Hur to file charges. And if he'd filed, according to Hur, again in his report, quote, Biden will likely present himself to the jury as he did during his interview with our office as a sympathetic, well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory. This is his way of saying a jury would not convict because they'd feel sorry for him.
In other words, you might need to be in a room near your mom.
Yeah. Well, Hur may have been correct about that, but Hur then went and did the thing that probably was even worse. I mean, if he'd filed charges against Biden, of course, there'd be all kinds of cries. Well, Hur was a Trump appointee.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So they would have been able to take that and say, okay, well, it's only because he's a Trump guy that this is happening and turn him into a martyr. Just the same way that Trump's approval ratings go up with every new set of charges filed against him.
I know.
But then he turns around and says, well, the reason we're not filing charges is because he's mentally incompetent. He's, couldn't remember the year that his son Beau died, which is a story that Biden brings up almost every press conference.
Every time. It really is on his mind constantly.
Sure,
and look, we all have moments like that. But as you become enfeebled, if you want to put it that way, but it's very typical of a memory deficit as you get older, that there's some point in the past that's a sticking point. It's like when you played an old record on a record player, if you would get to a point that was scratched, it would play it over and over and over again. It's like there's this memory scratch in his brain that he just has to remember. But he interestingly enough, Biden is determined that the United States spend more billions and billions of dollars on Ukraine.
Yeah.
Whether Israel gets any money or not, he doesn't seem to care anymore. It's Ukraine. So my question is, even though, yes, he's enfeebled, if you want to say that, who around him benefits from Ukraine money?
Well, I guess the easy answer would be the military-industrial complex, because you've got people who've got to make those artillery shells and missiles.
Yes, but wouldn't they benefit by selling them to Israel as well, or sending them to Israel?
But Israel's not likely to need as many as Ukraine. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there's a spiritual thing going on where there may be a prince of Russia, in the sense of the prince of Persia, prince of Greece from Daniel chapter 10. That there may be something going on there, or this may be, I don't know. I mean, the simple answer is that it's just war is a racket.
Yeah, sadly it is. That old Eisenhower speech.
No, General Smedley Butler from
but Eisenhower
the
also
military-industrial complex.
Exactly.
Right, sure.
Yes, Butler, you need to read his stuff, but yeah, you can find that departure speech by Eisenhower, I think, still on YouTube.
Yeah.
Unless it's been taken down.
Mm-hmm.
Is fact-checking the former president, Eisenhower. Since you brought up Putin and the possibility of a prince of Russia, the interview with Tucker Carlson, what do you think?
Well, I think it's interesting seeing the corporate media just wanting to flay Tucker Carlson, given that any number of prominent corporate media talking heads in the past 20 years have interviewed Vladimir Putin. But now suddenly it's a bad thing because it's Tucker Carlson and he's not employed by Fox anymore. Fox, MSN, BC, CBS, NBC, ABC. He's not part of the corporate media. He's independent. So this is a bad thing. And okay, number one, I think there are two extremes on this. Number one is that he's giving Putin the opportunity to propagandize. Well, duh.
Of course. Every press conference, every speech coming out of Washington, D.C. is an opportunity to propagandize.
Yes, exactly. Putin is a politician. Now, he's a very savvy politician, which is why he's still in power 22 years on.
He was playing 3D chess while Tucker was playing just regular old chess. I'm convinced of it. I like Tucker Carlson, but I think Putin outplayed him.
I agree. Putin is, whether you like him or don't, you've got to admit that he is one of the most skilled politicians in recent history, if not of all time. I think Xi Jinping will also go down in history as one of the most skilled politicians and world leaders in recent history, if not all time. Putin, yes, he played Tucker Carlson. Now, does that mean Carlson was wrong to go there and talk to him? No. And I thought Carlson did challenge him on some things. I've not watched the whole interview. I've just seen excerpts of it. But
I've got it saved. I was planning on us watching it.
Okay.
Later.
Well, it is... So you've got that on the one hand, where you've got the people who want to vilify Tucker Carlson for daring to speak to Vladimir Putin. It's like, yeah, okay, but who else has done that from the major corporate? Yes, there have been others who've interviewed Putin over the years.
Hey, wasn't Peter Arnett of CNN? Didn't he interview? Was it Saddam Hussein?
Saddam Hussein back during the first Gulf War.
Yeah,
and he was vilified too. So he was sort of a softball interview, as I recall.
Yeah, because he'd been there for a little while.
Right.
And I think in some ways, Stockholm Syndrome, he had sort of fallen in love with, because he was shown only the really good side of what was going on.
Yeah.
I think in many ways that the Ba'ath Party sort of kept the trains running, if you want to put it that way, in Iraq.
Yeah. Sunnis are in a minority in Iraq. Saddam Hussein was a Sunni, and he did keep the peace and allowed for Christians and Yazidis in the north to live basically undisturbed. There were something like 2 million. There were something like 2 million Christians living in northern Iraq when Saddam was in power, and now it's under 100,000.
Right.
So, and that happened with the United States there, which tells you something. But anyway, so Peter Arnett, kind of a softball interview. But then you look at the way the media has fawned over Volodymyr Zelensky, who has jailed political opponents, wants to shut down all of the Russian Orthodox churches in Ukraine, even though those churches have said, we condemn the attack by Russia and so on. Like, no, we think you're collaborating with the Russians, with Putin, so we want to shut down all the... And yet here in the West, the corporate media still wants to fawn all over Vladimir Zelensky. Now, the other side of this coin is for people who are looking at our deep state here in the United States and saying, finally, we're getting some truth. Vladimir Putin is telling it how it is. Like, no, he's telling it how he wants us to perceive it for his benefit, for the benefit of Mother Russia. So somewhere in the middle. Yeah. Carlson, good job. Great interview. Adds to your resume. But bear in mind, Putin is using the opportunity to spin things, just as every politician since the beginning of time.
I think, at least for me, I like to get news from a variety of world sources. Mm-hmm. And that's one reason I love X, formerly Twitter, is because you can see stuff going on from all over the world. And everybody's got their own little soapbox that they're standing on, making, here's my viewpoint, here's my truth. Mm-hmm. When you apply capital T truth to all of that, which is how we're supposed to view everything through the lens of the Bible, then try to figure out spiritually, that's the purpose of P.I.D. radio, Peering into Darkness, try to see what's spiritually going on in the world. And over, it's confirmation to me that we are living in the last days. The idea of this name and calling to people on the right, calling us truthers. Well, praise God, I want to preach truth, and I want to preach that capital T truth, so you call me a truther, but you capitalize that T.
Amen.
Every time. And you allow me to talk about Jesus Christ. If you're talking just politics only, well, that's just the icing on a very, very nutritious cake, if you'll just let me talk about it. Mm-hmm. But sadly, they don't want us to talk about it.
True.
On the other side, it's my truth is truth. Mm-hmm. It's a lowercase t with question marks after it over and over again, because that truth that is individualized changes from moment to moment.
Yes. 57 different genders.
No, I saw a story yesterday that it was about a woman in her 80s who had been volunteering for 40 years for an organization, and she was called out for not using the appropriate pronoun for a fellow employee, and her response was, well, what is a pronoun? She wasn't asking rhetorically. She was asking because she truly didn't know what a pronoun was. It was a genuine answer.
Yeah.
And she got fired. If you can fire a volunteer.
Oh my.
Yes.
That's that's the irony of this, that we Christians generations ago adopted this idea that we needed to be tolerant of all worldviews, and the God of this world, the prince of this world, and his minions have turned that on, sort of a spiritual jujitsu, because they are now enforcing blasphemy laws more intensely and energetically than Christians ever did. Mm-hmm. And if you blaspheme by not using the right pronoun, or by not, validating somebody's truth in air quotes.
Well, and apparently if I'm not willing to have someone take a part of my seat in an airplane, then I am thin privileged.
Oh.
Look, I understand there are people of all sizes. And the truth is that, and this is a truth, airplane seats are tiny.
Yeah.
You have to be a tiny person to fit into those. You're a normal sized man, and you have difficulty sitting in those seats because they are now made for someone who is 3/4 the size of a normal person.
Right.
They're made for children.
5'10" and a half and about 190 pounds.
That's you're at 5'11". Are you shrinking?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
I stepped on one of those things at the doctor's office last time, with the little the thing on top of your head. I think I was perhaps adding an extra half an inch. So, that's fine.
You're tall to me.
Yeah, well,
I routinely measure over there at 5'5", so I'm trying really hard not to lose height, but, maybe they're just being nice.
Ageist. But you're right. At 190 pounds, I am not, and that's down.
You're pretty
from
average.
I was about 235, 240 for a while when we first moved out here.
I know. I was about that same way, 240, 245.
So, both of us are, I think, fairly typical in size for Americans. And you're right. The seats are not any too
I don't think we're typical in size for Americans. Americans on the whole have been increasing in not just height. We're getting taller, but also in just overall weight.
Well, yeah, I've noticed that when we look back at some of the old family photos from the 50s, 60s, it's like
everybody looks thin.
Where are all the obese people?
Yeah,
and sadly, that is the case
you
today.
Look at old video too. You see a lot of thin people, what we would call thin. But yes, if you complain on a plane, I'm in a seat made for a child. Mm-hmm. Doesn't say child seat, but it's, okay, this is one of the regular seats. Why does this seem so? I mean, seriously, when I was heavier, I did have trouble sitting in those seats. Yeah. And the seat belt barely went around me.
Yeah. But there are people who contend that, and we are not condoning.
Not at all.
Mocking anybody who is a person of size, because I know
I've been there.
Me too. And we're not trying to hold ourselves up as paragons of health or anything. We're just trying to be a little more careful. And I'll be quite honest about this. One of the reasons, at least for me, motivating factor to try to eat healthier after we got here 9 years ago was the implementation of Obamacare.
Yeah.
It priced us out of health insurance. Now, thankfully, you're on
that insurance
Medicare.
Was going to be ridiculous.
We priced it out based on our income level. We would have had to lay out $28,000 a year before insurance paid for a thing, a dime.
Yeah.
Why would we do
it's
this?
A whole lot cheaper just to pay as you go. Of course, now I've been on Medicare for a while.
Right.
You'll get there.
I know. Praying to get through the next couple of years before we, next 3 years. But so we're not trying to body shame or anything like that. But the fact is, if you are morbidly obese, you are not healthy. And this movement to claim that anyone who points out that, look, you really need to change your eating habits because you're putting stress on your organs, stress on your joints that doesn't need to be there, and saying that that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. So that TikTok influencer saying that, look, if somebody's taking up half your seat and if you complain about it, you're exercising thin privilege.
Well, it's that idea of,
sorry,
I'm not going to change anything about myself because I see myself as perfect.
Yeah.
If you complain about my perfection in any way, then you are some sort of privileged person.
That is narcissistic behavior.
Isn't it though?
It is.
Isn't it though? Well, we know that
social media is contributing to it. And it's to really just one more thread that's being yanked out of the fabric of society.
Yeah. And since we're talking about health, I've got a page and a group on Facebook that in the past I have been more active. I'm not active on either of those anymore, simply because I don't have time in the day. But I've noticed a few of you still are. So thank you for that. One of them is called the Health Warrior page, and then the other one is, or Health Warrior Fellowship, I think. Journal. Thank you. And there is a messaging forum on that page, and many of you talk to one another, help one another, share your prayer requests on that forum, and I'm so glad you do. It's similar to the way that many of you are using the forum on our app, the GHTV app, the Gilbert House app, which is free. You can download it easily. And it's got so much flexibility on it, so many things. You could spend all day on there simply because it's got a Bible on there.
It does. Between the Bible, the messaging, and then all kinds of content going back to 2005.
Yep. So if you're listening to this and you are dealing with some health issues, be it related to your weight or anything else, we understand. We completely understand, and we want to pray for you. So if you are dealing with anything like that, please go on our forum and go into the prayer requests on the app and ask for prayer, because we pray for the people on that app every day. And I know you pray for one another. It's a powerful way to, crowdsource your prayer needs.
That's a good way of putting it. So you'll find a link at PIDradio.com/app, but also gilberthouse.org/app, which is sort of our hub where everything that we do is collected. So,
well, we need to take a break.
We do. Coming back, want to talk about how the Rockefellers, interestingly, they made their money in the petroleum industry.
Not Rockapella, though.
No, not Rockapella. Searching for Carmen Sandiego. No, the Rockefellers who got rich. Standard Oil.
Yep. By the way, J.D. Rockefeller is going to be in the Red Wing saga at some point.
Ah, interesting. Well, his descendants, it turns out, were influential in stopping new liquid natural gas processing facilities in Texas.
I saw that.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that.
And I know why.
And how immigrants are going to add $7 trillion to the American economy.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's fuzzy math. That's straight ahead.
Is that by stealing products from a store and then reselling them? More on that after the break.
It's a new month, and we have a new special at the Gilbert House online store.
We have a crazy, crazy deal on all of our DVDs. They are, regardless of the retail price, they are 75% off.
We keep hearing from the kids these days that everything is going to streaming video, that DVDs are old school.
Oh, not for us.
No, we are old school. And besides, we don't trust the internet will always be there. So take advantage of this special offer. Everything from our travel-ogumentaries. Basically follow us as we go through the Holy Land and show you the important sites at ground zero on this supernatural war, plus video teachings, presentations, and much, much more.
You know, with 75% off savings on all the DVDs, as many as you want to get, you've got the money that you saved to go out and buy a DVD player.
That's it. Take advantage of it now, online only at the Gilbert House store, gilberthouse.org/store. And thank you for your prayers and support. Welcome back to PID Radio. I'm Derek Gilbert. Still laughing about that. That was good.
Thanks, Eddie. We want to welcome you back to the barn. We're so glad that you are out there listening to this. You guys have been supporting us for nearly 20 years.
And we are thankful for that. Again, the archives in the app go all the way back to 2005. And I'll take some time this weekend and add some more of the archives, some of the classic stuff going back in 06, 07.
Some great stuff.
Yeah, I found a shortcut for adding stuff in. I don't have to physically upload the files. They can be side-loaded from elsewhere on the web. So, yeah, I can get those.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. By the way, one prayer request regarding our websites. We've got some maintenance to do on the websites, and it always makes me feel just a little bit, okay, are we going to break them? Derek and I have done a lot of things with web design and web maintenance over the years. In fact, we used to do it for the radio station where you worked. I built 6 websites for them. Right. So we know a little bit about them, but we also know that you can break them really easily. So just pray that we don't mess anything up as we go through, and mainly it'll be Derek. As you go through, Derek, and you update all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, what happened is the software on the server has reached end of life.
Yeah.
And so now they're saying, well, you're going to need to move to another server so you can, get like...
Now, what we probably will end up doing, and this is another prayer request, is upgrading the
hosting
terms.
plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Because the hosting plan we have right now essentially is, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck with everything.
You are your own IT department. And,
well, we don't have an IT department. It's just Derek. So if you would pray for Derek as he decides what to do, and if we end up having to upgrade the plan, then I know the Lord he'll provide for that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your prayers. We do appreciate that. That is truly, truly what has protected us through a lot of stuff, because we've seen a lot of friends who have had to deal with many, many things that we have not had to endure, health issues, financial issues, things like that. So I can only assume that it's because we've got divine protection, supernatural protection, and that prayer support.
And we've got Grace the Wonder Dog.
Yeah, who is like really leaning into me here, is like, scratch me.
Grace,
keep talking, but scratch me.
Pray for Grace, too. On Monday, she is going to have her spay surgery. She is at least 3 years old, we think, and has never been spayed. Had a litter of puppies sometime before she came to us, because she was still lactating at the time. But there were no puppies. We don't know what happened to them. We pray that they are well. But anyway, she's going to have the surgery. And so She's a little bit older. And you always, pray for your dog anytime the dog goes under the knife and under anesthesia. So pray for Grace that she will have a good recovery period and everything will go smoothly. You mentioned before our break a couple of things, and I want to start with the circular economy. Immigrants coming in are going to help us?
Yeah. This is a propaganda response to a story that was really broken by the website. One of the websites we look at for news, because it aggregates a lot of material, kind of an emphasis on financial news, but they Zero Hedge, right? And they have kind of a libertarian slant in terms of their political.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, because they will go after both Republicans and Democrats. So we're fine with that. As you say, getting a variety of sources so that we're not
triangulate.
We're not as inclined to be inside the echo chamber, just repeating stuff that confirms our bias. Anyway, about a month ago, Zero Hedge broke a story showing that the change in employment here in the United States since October of 2019, which was just prior to the COVID lockdowns, shows that all of the growth in employment is by foreign-born workers, that since October of 2019, native-born American workers have lost about 135,000 jobs, whereas foreign-born workers have gained over, what is that figure here? Trying to read from the graphic, and the graphic isn't...
Are these foreign-born workers going to make us money because they get paid less?
That's the response to it. No. Let me lay this all out here. 3 million foreign-born workers have gained jobs since October of 2019, whereas native-born American workers have lost 1.3 million.
Okay.
So 3 million jobs.
So for every one of us who loses a job, two
foreign-born workers have gained work. So they reran the analysis a couple of weeks later and said, along with a comment, why isn't this the number one talking point in the political realm? I said, well, politicians really didn't want to address this. It's a hot potato, because if you start talking about stuff like this, you get labeled xenophobic and racist and so forth. But the bottom line is true. I mean, when you're looking at the numbers coming from the Federal Reserve Bank, the St. Louis Fed, which publishes all of these statistics, showing that you've got, again, 3 million more foreign-born workers over the last 4 years working here in the United States, while you've got zero job creation, actually negative job creation from October of 2019. You've got to go back to June of 2018 to show like an equal level of native-born American workers. But in that same period of time, you got 4 million more foreign-born workers. So you go back to summer of 2018, 5 years ago, 4 million more immigrants working, and no job growth or job creation at all for American citizens. So the response from the talking heads who are carrying water for the deep state, guys like Paul Krugman, who's a overrated economist who writes for the New York Times, posting threads to X this past week, showing how this is important. Jerome Powell, who's the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank, in interviews this past week, talking to Scott Pelley on 60 Minutes for CBS, basically saying that because you've got 4 million more workers and you've got this 7 million more immigrants who've entered the country since Joe Biden came to power, this is going to actually add $7 trillion to the United States economy. Like, wait, what? Okay, because and this is what I was talking about last week, why I couldn't understand why the deep state, Republican and Democrat, because when you go back to 2006, when I was interviewing guys connected to the Border Patrol then about why we were seeing so many illegal border crossings, including huge numbers of OTMs other than Mexicans, the only thing that makes sense is that because we native-born Americans aren't having enough children to keep the population steady. We are a shrinking and aging population. The only way to keep the economy from shrinking is to bring in more people.
Yes, but here's the thing. We have fewer native-born Americans because we have fewer births. But we no longer make a lot of products here.
Well, there's
the
that too.
widget factories have closed down.
There's that too. Yeah.
So there should be fewer workers needed.
But in an economy that is based on consumerism, us buying things, if you've got fewer people buying things, the economy will necessarily will shrink.
Well, let me just remind everyone that most economists that are doing the talking are Keynesians.
Right, that is
correct. Which means that they believe the more money government spends, the better off we are.
That's the other aspect of this.
It's the, constant circle of money.
Right. I am a man of constant borrow.
Oh, that's good. That is so good.
The gross domestic product, as it's defined by Keynesian economists, includes government spending for some reason. So when you look at government debt and add that to the equation here, it's easy to see that all of the growth in the American economy, really since the 90s, has been in the form of added debt, federal debt.
We're just going to count the debt as, a win.
Yeah, it's fake money.
Well,
so,
if we're going to be moved over to a digital economy eventually, then I probably in their minds it doesn't really matter what's on the books because it's all going to be erased at the Great Reset.
Yeah, this is new monetary theory where debt doesn't really matter. Well, it actually does.
Yeah, it kind of does.
As we're kind of seeing with the housing market. Talking to our daughter, and she's not alone in this situation where people in that age group in their 20s and 30s are finding that home ownership is becoming increasingly unaffordable. It is almost impossible for young people to get into a home these days.
And Nicole has a good job. She has a good income.
She does, right.
She would be a great candidate for a first home.
The problem regarding home ownership specifically now is that with the increase in interest rates we're up to about 7%, which is where it was about 30 years ago, back in the early 90s when I was in real estate for a few years. When it came down to 7%, there was like celebrations in the office.
Yeah.
6%, woo! Because things were getting more affordable. What we didn't realize was that we were, thanks to the Federal Reserve Bank, going towards near zero interest rate policy, NIRP or ZIRP, zero interest rate policy. They were going to make money too cheap for too long. And over the last couple of years, that's allowed institutional investors like Blackstone and BlackRock to buy up something like 44% of single-family home purchases in the last couple of years.
Oh, I know. And China buys up a bunch of them too.
Right. So they've decreased the available supply of homes, which of course drives up the price. And now you couple that with rising interest rates.
And inflation.
So people are really struggling in that younger age group. But here we've got this news coming out saying, the deep state is telling us how great the economy is. Look, the economy grew by like 3% in the fourth quarter.
Stop believing your lying eyes.
Yeah. Yes. Ignore the fact that groceries cost 40% more than they did a couple of years ago.
Yeah. What if ground beef is, like $7 a pound?
Right. No, it's racist. The fact is that all the job growth and job creation, since even before Joe Biden was inaugurated, has come from new, well, I won't even say new Americans, because many of these are just say non-foreign-born workers now make up all of the new job creation. And of course, then this response from the deep state is that, yes, and because of the increased population, $7 trillion that's not just because they're spending more money. It's because they are taking up social programs, and that government spending counts toward GDP, which means, again, more borrowing.
Another reason that I love going to X, formerly Twitter, there are two accounts that I love to follow. One is James Woods, the actor James Woods. He is politically conservative. He's a true conservative, and he has lots of wonderful things to say. His comments are just gold. And the other one is Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Look, say what you will about Elon Musk. He's got a lot of weirdness about him, but he does understand what's going on. He essentially says that Biden is bringing in votes.
Well, that may be part of it too. That may be part of it too.
Because they are going to give papers. You can show that you are legally here. Just come on over here, put your X down. Doesn't matter if you can speak. It doesn't matter. You can hear, understand English. Look, just sign. Put an X. I don't care. Whatever it is. Because we have no idea what the background, what the intention of the people, and we're talking about a flood of people coming through the various weaknesses in our southern border. There are areas that have walls, but, you can go around those.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole thing going on at that Shelby Park in Eagle Pass, Texas is just a political dog and pony show. I mean, so you've got a 2-mile stretch of the river where suddenly it's tough to cross, but we have heard reports that you go just a few miles further upriver and, well, okay, there you go. Just cross right over. So it's just the Republican governors who went down there, Governor Sanders of Arkansas, Governor Kemp of Georgia, among the Republican governors who went there to show support for Governor Abbott of Texas. Okay, it's all well and good, but again, it's just a political show. It's not really securing the border.
Okay, imagine if you and I decided that we were going to illegally cross into Zimbabwe. I know nothing about the Zimbabwe culture, but if for some reason Zimbabwe had a great economy and we couldn't get in illegally, we decided we're just going to, pay somebody to take us in and we'll just try to hide, although hiding would be very difficult in Zimbabwe because, well, we're pretty pale. So if we went there, not knowing the culture, not knowing the language, not having a friend, then what do? We would bring our culture with us. Therefore, we would want to impose our culture on the Zimbabweans. We would want to say, well, no, we do it this way.
We're here because we like your money.
And if we found other Americans who spoke our language, who understood our culture, we would hang out with them. That's just natural.
Right.
And we would sort of form an enclave of just the way we do things.
Right.
And we wouldn't really understand why they didn't do them our way. When you come in from your other culture through our southern border, these individuals are going to hang out with those who speak their language, who understand their culture, and sometimes their culture is to war with one another, to carry machetes on the street, and to start hacking people because that's what they do. They are bringing in not only their culture, they're bringing in their spirit attachments.
Right, the gods.
Yes.
Yeah. I did a program with Judd Burton about that a couple of years ago on View from the Bunker. Yeah.
I love Judd Burton.
Yeah. I'll put a link to that in the notes. Making myself a note to add this to the show notes. If you're curious about that, we discussed that topic because this is something we've talked about in the past. When people go places, they bring their spiritual attachments with them. What was the word? The hijacker effect?
Ooh.
No, not hijacker. Not hijacker. What's the word when you stow away? Well, yeah. The word is not coming to age. Nouns.
Stowaway?
Yeah, not stowaway, but it's not hijacker. It's when you're out on the road with your
hitchhiker.
The hitchhiker effect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That these entities will go along with the people that are moving into a new place.
There are a lot of examples of that within cultures all over the world. The belief that once you get an attached spirit, that it goes with you wherever you travel. That
was the premise behind the novel by Neil Gaiman, which was developed into a series for HBO called American Gods.
Yeah,
where
Gaiman's doctrine is.
It is, but it's an interesting premise. I don't recommend the series for family viewing.
Oh no!
But it is an interesting premise where. Odin decides he's going to make a comeback and he starts enlisting the gods of other cultures that have emigrated to the United States, Celtic, African, Native American, and wanting to go to war with the more modern gods, where Mr. World, played by Crispin Glover, who's just a really
he's so strange,
interesting and quirky actor.
He really is.
But basically representing the new gods, which is essentially technology. Yeah. So interesting premise, but again, don't watch it with your kids.
Oh,
it's
no,
violent
please,
language, sexual content. So the novel, interesting, but again, Gaiman's theology is just not Christian.
But
period.
you and I, and we'll get to Rockefeller in a minute. This is one thing that you and I spend a lot of time on, and we write about it and talk about it a lot, the idea that there were fallen entities in the Old Testament, and they are still here. There are other fallen entities that are not on earth. They are under the earth. They are in Tartarus presently. But there are demons that go back and forth. That's it in a nutshell. But we explain that, and how if you want to really understand what's going on in the world politically, geopolitically, you have to look at the politics of the gods behind it, the theopolitics of it. So, Rockefeller.
Yeah, this was really weird. The Wall Street Journal reported about this. We had talked about how Joe Biden, in this showdown with the state of Texas over what was going on at Eagle Pass, decided to pause liquid natural gas exports from Texas. The creation of new liquid natural gas terminals, which is really bad timing after the disruption of natural gas supplies to Europe from Russia caused by the Ukrainian war and the destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline by someone.
We'll just say someone.
Who could it be? Yeah.
Read Seymour Hersh's articles about that.
So we have become the world's leading exporter of liquefied natural gas because the Europeans have needed to replace their energy source. And of course, they're paying a lot more for ours than they were paying to get it piped in from Russia. But at least it kept the lights on and kept them from freezing to death in the European winters. Well, Biden put a pause on the construction of new LNG export terminals, which would be really useful right now to continue growing this export business, which the United States, being a net importer, imports to the United States far exceed our exports.
He's punishing Texas.
He's punishing Texas. Why was he doing it? Well, the easy answer is, because he wants to hurt Texas over the...
It's cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yeah. They're not going along with my policy to let folks across the border. But it turns out, according to Wall Street Journal, that the Rockefellers, the descendants of John D. Rockefeller, along with other wealthy donors to the Democrat Party, including former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, are saying, no, we need to stop doing this because it hurts the environment. Yes, the Rockefellers, who, again, the family became wealthy thanks to Standard Oil, now campaigning against so-called fossil fuels. Yes, Mrs. G.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Thank you for calling on me. It reminds me of the Reynolds Tobacco Company family saying you shouldn't smoke. Seriously.
Yeah.
They did that. And it was a PR piece that made them look like they're really responsible socially and sociologically. And it actually caused cigarettes smoking to go up. And then we got into the tobacco-less sort of culture, which is starting to decline now. But I think that this may actually be that sort of stance. We're going to tell you we're doing something that's so responsible ecologically, but the fact is that we don't really feel that way.
No, and it's really not going to have the kind of effect that they want. If, in fact, their true goal is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, it's not. I mean, look, Germany, France, the other European nations, they still need to heat their homes and power their factories. So instead of the United States, they'll go to Canada, they'll go to Mexico, they'll go to Qatar, they'll go to Mozambique, they'll go, other places.
Yes. Well, then again, if you want to talk ecological nonsense, the idea of federal money going to build electric terminal charging stations in economically depressed areas.
Right.
Okay. A, they can't afford those cars, and B, rich people don't want to go there.
Yeah. The Inflation Reduction Act. Again, another example of how when you want to know what a bill in Congress does, read the title and assume it's the reverse. Inflation Expansion Act.
Yes.
Yeah. Included a bunch of money to give tax breaks to build EV charging stations in low-income areas. But what they're doing now is they're defining areas like Martha's Vineyard, Fisher's Island.
Poor Obamas.
I know.
Oh, they live in
Fisher's Island, which is where the Rockefellers and the DuPonts hang out. Beverly Hills.
Yep. Jupiter Island. Is that on there too?
I didn't see it, but areas of San Francisco, the Upper East Side in New York City, and very well-to-do areas for
Jekyll Island.
For the purposes of the Inflation Reduction Act, have been classified as lower income areas. So the wealthy people who can afford to buy these $80,000 Teslas can now charge them at a discount. The EV stations won't cost. It is absolutely ludicrous. It is ridiculous. Well,
redistribution of.
Yeah, it is a wealth transfer, as is basically war. It's we'll tax American people. We'll send it to Raytheon General Dynamics. And,
isn't that racketeering?
It kind of would be in the actual sense of the term, but not the way it's defined, especially in Fulton County, Georgia.
Oh, I know. Racketeering is anything we don't like. We're going to charge you with that.
Yeah.
Well, boy, I'll tell you what. We are going to be traveling this year.
Yeah, we got a bunch of. Let me bring up the app here because that's the easiest way to find out what's on our calendar is to go to our app or go to a website, gilberthouse.org. It's in the right-hand column. There's a calendar there. But go to the calendar app, go to upcoming events, and you will see there.
First of all, is our upcoming event on the 23rd? I think?
It is. It is. It's there already.
Oh,
I
you
updated
are
it.
So good.
Yes, we will be in Blue Eye, Missouri for the Jim Baker Show on Friday, February 23rd.
I am so looking forward to that. If you love going down there and just meeting the people, watching the recording live, it's if you live in the area, you can go to any of your app mapping apps, the map apps, and you can just put in Blue Eye or Morningside in Blue Eye, and it'll take you there. Or
go to our app.
Dad, don't forget. Grace is over here pawing on Derek's arm. Dad.
Because in the app, there is a map showing exactly where it is. So you can go to that, go check that out. I mean, this is very powerful. The web developers or the coders at Subsplash, which is the company that's developed our app, has really developed some really powerful little tools there. Oh, you're getting the scratching of...
Yes. She is always in your 5 and 10. If you haven't noticed that, then you need to be watching Derek's 5 and 10. Grace makes an appearance in nearly every one of them.
Yeah. Friday's episode, she was definitely right there. At the end, it's like, Dad,
funny.
You've gone over time.
It's
Stop.
that paw to the chest.
Yeah.
Dad.
Shut up now.
But yes, we're going to be in Blue Eye. By the way, Jim Baker and Lori, I don't think Lori's going to be there either.
No, they're taking some time away.
Yeah, exactly. They needed a vacation, for goodness sake. He's been working since he was probably 9 years old.
And what is he now, 83?
84.
84.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, we were there for his 80th birthday party with L.A. and Peggy Marzulli. Right,
yes,
right.
Indeed. So, we're going to be down there, and where else?
And just to be clear, you are welcome to attend. It is free and open to the public.
Get there by 10:30 or so.
Right.
It starts at 11-ish, but, it could start right on 11 now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we would be waiting for Jim and Lori to arrive because they do a lot of other things.
Yeah. Nice little cafe there, so you can go there, plan on having lunch.
Oh my gosh.
Wonderful food.
Mexican food.
Yes.
It is the best Mexican and American food you've ever had.
Take advantage of that while you're there.
It's probably, or is it Egyptian?
Give me a second.
Oh, yeah. No, it's Mexican.
Skywatch TV's virtual conference, defenderconference.com. We're putting together talks for that. April 5th through 7th, we will be at the...
Now, before you go on, this virtual conference, how do you register for that?
Defenderconference.com.
There you go. And registration is open now, and it starts on...
Yes, it starts on the 29th of February.
Which is actually the late Tom Horn's birthday.
Yeah. That wasn't planned. It just sort of worked out that way. But and here's the thing. If you take advantage of it this week, sign up this week, you get $10 off.
Oh, go.
Yeah, the early bird discount through Thursday the 15th.
You could buy coffee with that $10.
Yeah. So coffee to watch through all the presentations.
Exactly.
24 presentations plus all 6 Skywatch Films documentaries. And this will feature the last presentation by Tom Horn. He recorded it last fall before he took ill. And of course, once that happened, then it just seemed inappropriate to say, well, Tom has just passed. Here's a presentation. So anyway, but this is his last conference presentation. So do take advantage of that.
These are always so good.
The first weekend in April, 5th through the 7th, we will be in Dallas for the Prophetic Signs in the Heavenlies Conference with Hear the Watchman.
For the solar eclipse.
Total eclipse of the sun will be crossing over Dallas. So stay through Monday because that's the 8th of April. And that's when it happens. But other speakers include good friends like Dr. Michael Lake, David Hevner, Jamie Walden, Dave Hodges, Paul and Heidi Begley, David Paxton, Michael Boldea, Casper McLeod.
Oh my goodness, what a lineup.
Yeah, Dr. Carrie Mayday, whom we've not met. Look forward to meeting her. Tov Rose, also look forward to meeting him. So you can find out more at hearthewatchman.com. And as Mike Kerr has pointed out, they've also got an early bird discount here, but this is a crazy deal. If you register this week, the registration is only $35, but after the 15th, it goes up to $99.
Oh, yeah.
So essentially, you're getting a 67% discount by signing up between now and Thursday.
Does that include the Monday watching the eclipse together?
Well, they can't really charge for the eclipse.
Oh, but no, here's the thing. It was extra in Boise because they had to bus us there.
No, this one will be just viewing the
from the hotel?
From the hotel. So if you stay in the hotel an extra day, then you can watch the eclipse with us.
Put your savings towards buying lunch.
Well, there you go. There you go. So sign up this week, hearthewatchman.com, get in for $35, but if you wait until Friday the 16th, then it'll be $99.
Ooh.
So that'll be a good one. His Call Ministries will be in Sparta, Missouri. That's south of Springfield on June 21st through the 23rd, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just the two of us talking.
I know. We love going there. We spend Friday evening and Saturday and then Sunday morning doing a little talking, doing a little preaching.
Yep. The
May
theme,
do some singing. Who knows?
Yeah. The theme of the conference will be, I'm sure we will. They love to sing.
I know.
Theme of the conference, and again, it's just the two of us talking, will be the gates of hell, based on the research for the new book.
Yeah, we will have turned in our manuscript by then, and we'll know exactly what we said. If we can remember.
Yeah. Oh, almost forgot. This is one that's still in the works, but if you're in Arizona or Southern California, Southern Nevada, we will be in Lake Havasu, Arizona, the last weekend in May. That is May 30th through June 1st.
And that's about 3 hours outside of Phoenix?
Yeah. 3 hours west of Phoenix, if I remember the map correctly. So we'll have to look to see. It's closer to Kingman. There may be a flight into Kingman that would be the way to go. But anyway, we can confirm that Vicki Joy Anderson will be there. And I know a couple of other names, but I won't say them until it's confirmed that they're confirmed. But that will be our first time speaking in Arizona.
I know. I'm so excited about this. Getting to meet those guys. And
Vicki is, and this, by the way, is being put together by the Goss brothers, Nick and Jonathan Goss, the Gosslings. And
Larry Goss is the late Larry Goss's kids.
So that should be fun. Again, the last weekend in May, last weekend in July, go there for, it's like the last weekend in a lot of months here. Seems. The last weekend in July, the Go Therefore conference in Ohio.
With Dr. Michael Spalding.
Yes. Suddenly the Marx Brothers song comes to mind.
Captain Spalding.
Hooray for Michael Spalding. He is a wonderful preacher.
We'll have to work that up and sing it.
Yeah. But this lineup, oh my goodness. L.A. Marzulli, Carl Gallups, Dr. Judd Burton, Dr. Michael Lake, Dr. Gregory Reed, Dr. Mike, but lots of doctors.
How do we get in there? We don't have PhDs.
I know.
Or MDivs or anything.
I know. Even L.A. Marzulli's got an honorary doctor. So Dr. L.A. Marzulli. Yeah. And then the Gilberts. Pastor Paul Begley. This will be a wonderful gathering.
Oh my!
It's at the what is the location again? It is the Harvest Revival Center in Brookville, Texas. Last year I kept saying Brookline.
Texas?
Ohio. Got the city right, got the state wrong. Brookville, Ohio. That's outside Dayton.
You can fly into Dayton if you need to. It's maybe a 45-minute drive.
Yeah, if that. July 26th and 27th. Don't miss that. And then the other event we wanted to talk about that you teased at the beginning.
Wasn't there something in August? Oh, we can't talk about that yet. The thing in August or September. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, not remembering what that one was.
Yeah, I was thinking there was something in August. But
probably right.
Just me.
There's a possibility of going to North Dakota in September.
That may be what I'm thinking of.
Pitchfork and Hoe
I
gathering,
know what you spoke out last year.
Right. And that was why last year could not go to the Nephilim Anthropology Conference, which this year we have committed to going to.
I know what we left out. And you can talk about this the Scotland thing in a minute. But we may be leading a tour to Israel.
Oh, yes.
In May.
Right.
So maybe in May. And it will depend upon the response.
Yeah. This is something that we should have full details on by Monday. We're working with Lipkin Tours on what we're calling a solidarity mission. This would leave this would arrive in Tel Aviv May 7th. So depending on where you're coming from, here in the U.S., we'd have to leave May 6th to get there by the 7th. If you're coming from Europe, maybe you get there same day. Anyway, May 7th through the 13th to visit a number of locations affected directly by the October 7th attacks, including Sderot, the town in the Negev where the police station was besieged. We would visit the site of the Nova Music Festival, visit one of the kibbutzim that was overrun, go to Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, visit with IDF soldiers, have a barbecue on an IDF base with the soldiers.
Won't that be incredible?
And we will visit sites in Jerusalem, which are still open to tourists. So we'll see the old city. We'll go to the City of David and the
Mount of Olives and all of those.
Right,
and what we believe is the actual crucifixion site, the actual burial site. But also we've asked if we could go to that little walkway that overlooks the Valley of Hinnom.
Right. That's relatively new. So yeah, overlooking the Gehenna.
Yes.
Yeah, where the Tophet, where children were sacrificed to Molech. So that would be the first week in May. And here are the details that we have so far. The land cost would be $1,950 US, $1,950 US. That again is land cost only, does not include the transport to and from Tel Aviv, but that would include accommodations, 4-star hotel in Jerusalem, breakfast and dinner included, does not include lunches, tips for the drivers and guides and so forth. And again, the airfare. But we'll have full details on Monday, and we'll put that out there as soon as we've got those.
Yeah, but again, this is a solidarity mission, and it doesn't mean that we're going there to preach the gospel. It means that we're going to there to show we really support Israel so much that we're going to go over there at a time when a lot of people would be, no, I'm not going there. But it is safe. Our safety is always paramount with Lipkin Tours, but also Lipkin Tours works with the military to, again, make sure that we are always safe.
Yeah.
I always feel safer in Israel, even when things are heating up and people are panicking over here. We've always felt safe in Israel, safer than we do in a lot of big cities here.
Yeah, I feel more on edge when I go to visit our daughter in St. Louis.
Yeah. Well, you visited her last year. He goes every year for a daddy-daughter Father's Day ball game. They go to watch the Cubs and the Cardinals play if the
Cubs are in town.
Last year you had to go to somebody else.
Yankees,
Yeah, that was okay. Mainly you go to talk, so whatever. But anyway, you went last year and the hotel where you stayed had police tape up.
Yeah. Found a hotel. The hotel costs were just shocking.
Say astronomical.
It's like, what the...
anytime you get close,
$300 a night for in
for this
St. Louis?
For this motel, 6.
So not quite that bad.
That was it.
But anyway, so anyway, found one that was a little more of a budget brand, and thought that okay, well this is tolerable. I can do 110 or whatever it was. And I got there. There was yellow police tape around it. And afterward, Nicole said, "Well, when you told us where you were staying, I wondered if I should, that's."
She's approved of this one. In fact, she recommended it.
She recommended this one. Yeah, it's a little pricier, but
so you'll be okay.
Yeah. I saved money on the tickets.
Yeah. And by the way, before Derek talks about the Scotland tour, which I'm really excited about because I love Scotland, if you're wondering, well, what about Grace when they're gone? Well, what about Grace? Grace loves her groomer, Eileen, so much, just like Sam did. She goes over there every week, just like Sam did when we were getting him used to it. And he would be boarded with Eileen for the time we were out of town. Sam loved it so much when we would return from being gone for almost a month. He'd just look at us like, it's you. Look, I'll be with you in a minute.
Yeah. So and I think that was really inspired before our first Israel tour 6 years ago now. We started taking Sam once a week
for a play date.
Just go there because Eileen usually has 1 or 2 rescue dogs that she's got with her, and so Sam became part of that pack with Copper and the dog Grace that she had.
Her name was Grace.
Yeah. And he would start looking at me because it was every Thursday. He'd start looking at me on Wednesdays. Is it today? Because I'm pretty sure she needs me. We've been doing this now for just 6 weeks or something with Grace, and already when open the garage door or the door to the garage, and she runs immediately to the back of the car.
You want to go in the car? Yeah,
and she gets very excited. So she's in good hands, and she really loves. Take her into the shop, and she immediately goes to the door to go into the back of the shop.
She loves it. By the way, we've been posting pictures of Grace riding over there with Derek in the car. So if you are curious about that, go to my Facebook wall and you will see she is smiling. Mm-hmm. She's a happy dog.
And also, just in case you're wondering, when I take those selfies, the car is in park.
Oh, exactly.
It is not moving when I do that.
If it is moving, I'm the one taking the photo.
Exactly, right, yes.
So yes, but yes, and probably October, is that the date?
October of 2024, yes. The last weekend in October. Let me bring up the dates here so I've got them correctly. This would be October 25, 26, 27. Mm-hmm. The Nephilim Anthropology Conference.
Just in time for my birthday.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So we will be there. This is an event that we've known about for a couple of years. A couple of years ago, we didn't work out. Last year, I'd already committed to going to North Dakota for the Pitchfork and Hoe gathering. This year, we committed early. This is going to be in the Glasgow area. Now, interestingly, last year, the gathering was held at the Glasgow offices of the Theosophy Society, Theosophy, which is Helena Blavatsky's
Yeah, I know.
group.
That actually would have been really ironic.
It would have been, yes.
Interesting.
But apparently the Theosophists didn't want them back this year. That's how I understand it. Or at least somebody connected with them. I don't know.
We can't agree with your stance on giants in the Bible, because that's what this conference is all about.
Really, exactly. So it's going to be held elsewhere, waiting for final details on that. Maybe on the Isle of Butte, B-U-T-E, which is just off Glasgow.
Really tiny sort of community on Butte. I was looking at some of the stuff. There's a castle over there that I'd love to look at.
Yeah. So we're hoping when we go over there, we may be able to visit some other sites, maybe even speak at a couple of other places while we're there in Scotland.
In fact, if you are listening to this and you live in Scotland, if you would like us, since we're going to be there anyway in the Glasgow area, if you want to have us come and speak to your group, we would love it. Mm-hmm. Love, love, love it. Just let us know. But yeah, this group, they are very curious about the idea of giants in the Bible, that the pastor of a church there in Glasgow has been following our work for years and is excited about conveying this information, actually interpreting the Bible in context, especially the Old Testament. So giants in the Bible, getting to preach about that because that's the question that is being asked.
Yeah.
Now, here's the reason that we're getting pushback.
Yeah, the pastor is in a...
it's a more liberal congregation.
More liberal congregation. He is in a same-sex relationship, and he's very open about that.
He's very open about it.
I've spoken to him on Zoom. We had a Zoom call a couple of, maybe about a month ago.
Yeah.
And he is a very charming, very friendly, very loving man.
Exactly.
Very intelligent. He is a playwright, a successful playwright. In fact, one of his pieces was performed at that annual cultural festival in Edinburgh.
Oh, in Edinburgh, yeah. There's a lot of really avant-garde, we'll just put it that way.
Right.
Performances there every year. So, yeah, good. Kudos to him for getting that done. Now, just because we attend this does not mean that we condone everything that the people, who are attending it or putting it on. We don't condone everything they do. And they don't condone everything that we say is true.
Right.
We want to get together and actually use their question as a way to explain why we believe what we do.
Absolutely. I'm sure that he is also likely to get pushbacks like, why are you inviting these conservative Bible thumpers?
Absolutely. Those guys are crazy. Why would you bring them in? Well, we love going in and telling our crazy stories to people, to anyone.
Right.
That's what we're called to do.
Yeah.
Matthew is at 15 that says, go into all the world and preach the gospel. It doesn't say go to the people you like.
Yeah, I'm sure that back in the first century, there were followers of the way who questioned Paul going to Mars Hill in Athens and speaking amongst all of the pagan idols.
Yeah, why would you go in there and talk about that?
And I'm not saying that the Nephilim Anthropology Conference is like that.
Nor
I'm just
are we saying that we don't like those people, because David, who's running it, he seems like a wonderful guy. I look forward to meeting him.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we had just a delightful conversation and exchanged a couple of notes with him this morning and said, look forward to becoming closer friends.
Yeah. So if you do disagree with what we're doing, we understand. And we are free to disagree on this because there are only a few core doctrines. But the bottom line is that we are called to preach the gospel everywhere.
Yeah. And I know Chuck Missler got pushback when he was invited to speak at a church headed up by Kim Clement, the late Kim Clement, who is very much part of the apostolic prophetic movement. And
we'll get pushback on that too.
And we've spoken at a couple places that are part of that that milieu. We get pushback when we go to speak at Jim Baker
sometimes.
And it's not because, we don't do it because we're trying to be famous. We're doing it because people are interested in what we have to say. And so we're there to explain why we trust the teachings of the Bible and why they are relevant to us today. And then, we will plant those seeds and then let the Holy Spirit do its work.
It's one reason that I write fiction, and I especially decided to write fiction beginning with Jack the Ripper, because that's the topic that everybody finds fascinating.
Sure.
So if you start there, then you can sometimes plant seeds unexpectedly. Someone will be reading, and fiction is a way to do that. People get engrossed in a story, and you can, look, the fallen realm teach through fiction all the time. So I love, I love, and sometimes it's called news. I love getting to reach people that way. But Derek and I are just, if you look, invite us. If you're Church of Satan, invite us. We'll talk.
Yeah.
You may not like what we say, but we'll talk.
Yeah. So that's coming up October 25th through 27th. And again, as the specifics come out, I'm going to put this on the calendar this weekend, so it'll be there. But as specifics come out, then we will add those. But if you're in the UK,
exactly,
plan on us being there, and we will be delighted to meet you. And again, if there are other opportunities to speak that come up where we can extend our stay, well, that would be wonderful. We would absolutely love it.
By the way, the comment about Church of Satan has nothing to do with the people in Glasgow. Nothing whatsoever.
Exactly.
It was an extreme example. No, seriously, we will go anywhere. Just understand that Derek and I, we are part of Skywatch TV, but we don't always represent Skywatch TV when we go and speak. When we go and speak, unless it's on Skywatch TV,
right.
When we go and speak, we represent ourselves.
And we try to represent our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
That is just it. When I kneel before him, I don't want to have him say, you had an opportunity to share my truth, the truth, and you didn't. Why did you not do that? Well, Lord, people wouldn't like me if I did that. Well, people didn't like me.
Yeah.
Well put. We understand. We understand if you disagree with us, but we're still going to go.
Amen. Amen. Well, that is what we've got coming up for the rest of this year. Coming up the rest of this weekend, of course, the Gilbert House Fellowship Bible Study tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to be recording more Unraveling Revelation and some 5 and 10. But the one thing we did leave out, the tour for Israel, that was the big tour, where we were planning on taking multiple buses with Timothy Alberino, was rescheduled for November. It is now rescheduled from November to next year because we were going to take you to Israel during the election.
Yeah, and it also appears, it is, but it also appears that the conflict is going to extend even further.
It is, but we're still going to go to in May. As a solidarity thing.
In May, right?
Right, but
again, that'll be a smaller group.
But let me explain why the conflict affects the big group, because we take the big group to parts of Israel that are really close to Syria and Lebanon.
Yeah. There are key destinations that are now part of the zone that's been evacuated.
They've taken out at least half, if not more, of the sites that we would have been visiting.
Yeah, in the north, right.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And Jesus spent a lot of time in the north. We wouldn't be able to go to Mount Hermon. We wouldn't see the Grotto of Pan.
Right.
We wouldn't get to go to Gilgal Rephaim.
Right.
Tel Dan. We were going to take you to the Waters of Weeping near
Metula.
Metula, yes, which is a stone's throw. Literally, you can have a golf shot that will hit Lebanon. And that site there is referenced in the book of First Enoch, which is why we wanted to add that to the tour. Yes, exactly. It's a spectacular site. But they've evacuated that little village.
The Shamir Dolman.
Can't go there.
Right. So anyway, a lot of very important sites in the north that are connected to the Valley of the Shadow of Death and the Gates of Hell, which key So yeah, those are off limits. So that has been pushed back to next March, March 25th through April 3rd, with the optional 3-day extension to Jordan,
which we're calling the Iron and Myth Tour.
Right.
Possibly plus Timothy Albury. Now we need to get Tim confirming that he can change that date and go with us next spring. He's a busy guy.
He is. He's got a lot of irons in the fire.
Iron and myths in the fire.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we do know that Doug Van Dorn and Judd Burton will be joining us next spring.
Yes.
So you can sign up for that. Again, March 25th through April 3rd of 2025 with the optional 3-day extension over into Jordan.
Who is going to be on your View from the Bunker tomorrow night?
Justin Brown.
Oh, yeah.
First time guest, Justin Brown, who is the host of the Dig Bible podcast, but also Prometheus Lens.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Yeah. And I have it on good authority that the voiceover for the Prometheus Lens podcast, the intro is really good. Yeah. Oh, that was me. I did that.
Well, he's a cute guy. Really cute.
Anyway,
you and I have been friends on Facebook for 15 years.
I saw that.
I know.
I'm glad we're friends.
We've been married for over 26 years, but finally got to be friends on Facebook.
Yeah, so now it's official. So anyway, Justin talks about the myth of Esau, the legends of Esau. Was he the one who actually killed Nimrod? I don't think so, but I think it's interesting to explore why those legends sprung up among the rabbis.
Oh, I agree with that. Boy, that's fascinating. And speaking of, View from the Bunker, Bunker Buster Coffee is available.
Yeah, we partnered with Kevlar Joe's Coffee to bring you 3 blends. One is named for Grace, Amazing Grace, cookies and cream, just like her black and white coat.
It's a mild coffee. If you like mild coffee and you like it's like a hint of Oreo cookie.
Yeah, really, really tasty. If you like a mild, very smooth medium blend, a Sumatran coffee, that is the Snarling Dachshund. Because, when you pour the cream in it, it's like the Dachshund saying, okay,
black and tan, and it
rub my
rolls
belly.
over.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But then the Bunker Buster, that is the dark roast Colombian.
That's the one you want, baby.
Yeah, kickstart your heart.
Coffee's good for you, too. So you can go to gilberthouse.org and /store, gilberthouse.org/store, and you will see the place where you can click the link and buy the coffee.
Takes you through to Kevlar Joe's, order directly from Kevlar Joe's, and they will ship to you. Roasts his own. He's over in Herculaneum, Missouri, the opposite side of the state, but veteran-owned, veteran-operated, and really, really good stuff. So we can vouch for it. In fact, we've got some... is it Bunker Buster in here this morning?
That is Bunker Buster.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah, really, really good coffee. We can vouch for it. Whole bean or ground, your choice. But again, gilberthouse.org/store. Well, until tomorrow in the Gilbert House Fellowship Bible Study.
Yeah.
I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert. Bye-bye, everybody. And for Grace Gilbert. Almost left that out. Sorry, Grace. Bye-bye, everybody. And woof.
P.I.D. Radio is produced by Gilbert House and released under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Follow us online, Twitter @P.I.D. Radio or the P.I.D. Radio page at Facebook. Join us each week for our online Bible study, the Gilbert House Fellowship, online at gilberthouse.org.